It is Wednesday, July 10th, 2019. My name's Anthony, and I'm here with Michael, and this is Time Lapse, the podcast where cars and watches are the focus, but tangents are often the reality. Let's get into it. Hello. Good morning, everyone. And typically Mikey would chime in at this point, but Mikey's actually going to be producer Mikey today because we have a really special show for you guys. We have Wes and Cullen from Nodus Watches here with us all the way out from LA. They graced us with their presence coming all the way, across the country. And we couldn't be happier or more excited to see them, especially because you guys know, if you're listening, that I personally own a Nodus watch, and I couldn't be happier with the product. We'll get into that. But welcome to Toronto, guys. So happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, let's start. You guys, you're not new to Toronto. You've been here a few times, right?
Yep. Yeah, so our very first Nodus tour, which is what we're on right now, is we did it last year, like on the weekend of Canada Day.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out really well, so that's why we decided to make it at least an annual thing, hopefully biannual. And literally what it is we just fly to a different part of the world or country, get in a car with a bunch of watches and drive. That's
pretty awesome. I think that's a great way to reach out to your customer base and get a feel for the people that are wearing your watches and made the move to invest in you guys and what you do. And I don't want to talk too much, but I think it'd be pretty cool to share with you guys a story about how I came across my Contrail 39. I wanted something Explorer-esque, right? Like I wanted a very minimalist but sporty tool watch, and I came across a vintage Seiko Alpinist that I lost out to on Kijiji, and weirdly enough, I met the guy at Red Bar who bought that watch, who outbidded me. So it was pretty weird. Yeah, and I had been watching you guys for a while. I think I saw one of our local Toronto guys post about you, and I was immediately interested. But at that point, I think I couldn't get the color I wanted, the white sand or Laguna sand.
Yep.
That one had sold out at that point. So I sort of said, okay, I'll wait on it. But eventually, I started to fall in love with the black dial, probably because I was so interested in that vintage Alpinist. And yeah, that's when I reached out to you guys, and I gotta say, customer service is like totally on point. It's a different feel than I've gotten from most brands that I've reached out to. And yeah, I couldn't be happier. I think like the design, the aesthetic of the watch is great. The feel is great. Build quality is obviously there. So I guess like as a fan of the brand, as an enthusiast who really appreciates what you guys have done, how did you come to a product like this? Like, share a little bit with us about like what led you to this end result, this product, and not just specifically the Contrail 39, but your current lineup.
Sure. Well, thank you for the kind words. We're it really makes our day when our fans or customers or friends. Yeah, it's kind of weird calling them customers because that's kind of why we do this. We want to come out and get to know them as more than just a number on an invoice.
For sure.
But yeah, so thank you for supporting us, and we're glad that you love the watch.
Awesome.
So our design ethos, it usually starts with function. We want to make sure all of our watches have some kind of purpose and utility to it. With the 39, it was a little bit different. It's still a very functional watch. You can still take it into the water and beat the hell out of it. But we wanted it to be a little bit more flexible in terms of how you can dress it up and, just have a little bit more of an elegant, clean look, which is why it had the fixed bezel instead of the rotating bezel that I think a lot of people know us for now, like our sport dive watch style.
And on that note, what I liked first was the Laguna sand. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Laguna sand? Yeah. With the 12-hour bezel. That was the one that I drew to first, and it wasn't until I started looking for that minimalist sport watch design that I came across this like brushed bezel, and something that didn't come out in photos, and the GoPro won't really be able to pick it up. But I love the difference in brushing on that bezel compared to the case, and it's just something that like this morning when we were just waiting outside, in the way the light catches it, it's super cool, and it's functional because a high polished bezel like on the Explorer 1 will get destroyed within like a few weeks of daily wear. So I like that's pretty cool. But the 12-hour bezel is definitely a stunner. And did you guys bring one of the 12-hour bezels?
Yeah, we brought a few things actually.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, so this is our mothership.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah, so this is the same one that you have, but with the 12-hour bezel.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then,
are you cool that if we put them on the table, it's
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, these are all demo pieces, so they're meant to be banged up.
Oh wow.
And this is sort of like the younger brother, exact same thing, but new dial and then a one-piece stainless steel bezel.
Okay, this is the one you guys just recently released, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. I gotta say though, I still love the Contrail, the original one that I first, because I just love is that a ceramic on the bezel or
sapphire?
Just sapphire on the bezel? Oh, very cool. And I have to do this because I've been wondering forever. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I just recently bought a GMT from Zelos, another micro brand.
The new one, Horizon.
Yeah, I actually have it in here.
Oh, cool.
And I can show you guys the difference in bezel action. I've handled a couple of Zelos through Red Bar, and the bezel action is fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's something about the 12-hour that is not what I was expecting.
Okay.
It's weird. Maybe that's just because the way it's meant to be actuated. Here, I'll show you. And it's also bronze, so that could mean that it's just a little bit stickier. You'll see it's like very difficult to turn, and you really have to get a grip on it. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, the watch is superb. I think the sizing is great. Yeah. It's just classically proportioned, and I like wearing a smaller watch. That's what drew me to the 39, and also what drew me to the non-rotating bezel. Yeah. But like as tall as that watch sits, it's perfect on the wrist. Like it for if you have smaller wrists. Mikey tried it on. It was a little bit weird, but yeah, no. And then that's the Ming 1701, another watch that was my first micro brand watch, and a great one. It showed me that if you can find the right brand and you can really find something interesting, that's cool. Then it pays off. Yeah, I love that watch. I don't wear it as much because I just had to polish the bezel because it was all scratched up.
Yeah, that's what you're saying about polished bezel. Yeah. It's just like getting dinged up.
It depends on what kind of lifestyle. Like they built that for someone to wear daily, like a casual watch that has this dressy aspect to it, but you can also dress down. Yep. But unfortunately, like I work at a dealership, so I'm a service manager there. I'm running around all day. We have quartz countertops. You knock that, and it's game over. So, yeah. But I just, again, knowing that you guys kind of represent to me and Mikey what is great about micro brands, and I wanted to show you maybe a couple of other pieces that we feel we talk about, like you and Ming the most. Zelos is new to us, but I was very happy with the GMT, and just micro brands on a whole for us have been a great experience so far.
Well, one of my personal favorite things about micro brands, and this goes back to what you were saying about when you bought this and talking about our customer service. We have brands like Zelos and all the other micros that have been around for a while. We have them to look up to. That and in many ways they've shown us the way. They've
for sure
taught us how to do this the right way. Helios, Mark II. These are some of our favorite brands, and we were enthusiasts before we were, I guess, watch entrepreneurs, whatever that means. So we know what it's like to be on the receiving end of things because we were collectors and still are collectors. This time we just brought Nodus for obvious reasons, but at home we have a bunch of other stuff too that some of them are from big brands, but the little ones are still really exciting for us. So
I think there's also like this weird aspect of like when you're anticipating getting a micro brand watch and it's typically shipped to you, right? There's no brick and mortar store. So there's this whole like charm about doing the research and and getting to know all these little things about the brand, the people behind it. It just, for a watch enthusiast, I feel like that gives you a lot, there's a lot more energy around that purchase than maybe something else. Because honestly, boutiques are nice and they're great. But I think the minute that the money's down, it's kind of like, okay, like you're still excited about the piece, but like now that
there's no more relationship.
They, and Mikey's had a bit more boutique experience with me, and they may remember you the next time you walk in. But at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say, you're a big wallet to them in a lot of cases, and it's just a different feel with a micro brand because you're actually sharing with someone in their product, and you guys care a lot about it, right? But you just said like you guys obviously brought notices here, but what else does your personal collections like? What are some highlighted pieces you guys might want to talk about?
Well, my favorite pickup of the last year was the Mark II Crucible. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar.
Orange dial?
No, black dial.
Black dial. Okay. I'm thinking of something.
It was the A11 homage. Has like quasi scroll lugs on it. He unveiled it in November last year at Windup.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the follow-up to the Hawkinge, which was his, I think that was his first ready-to-wear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry,
So-
which brand is this again?
Mark II.
Mark II. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it on? Have you posted about it on?
Not on the
Nodus?
Nodus account. I think
Okay.
I did on my personal one.
Mhm.
I can show you a photo later.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah,
we'll definitely throw a photo up here
yeah.
on the podcast too.
Yeah, so that was my favorite pickup of last year. But I also picked up a Raven Trekker, blue dial, yellow second hand,
Okay.
and an EMG Nemo, yellow dial.
Yeah, that yellow dial.
That- yeah, I
That's the
think
one
that-
that I
yeah,
saw.
yeah.
Yeah, that really stood out to me, and I was so happy to see you guys release the retrospect
Yeah.
in the yellow dial.
Yeah.
My brother, oh
Yeah.
my God, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I gotta see that. Mike, yeah, I'm gonna toss them over to you so that I'm not getting all the watch love. And you guys have the collab with Barton.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
We're big fans of Barton.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, man,
I mean, who
They're-
isn't?
Yeah, who isn't,
their
right?
elite
Yeah.
silicone
so
is
good.
just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, so on tour last year, after the Toronto one, we went to Texas. So this was right before Wind Up. We did a Texas tour, and in Austin is when we hooked up with them. And yeah, we saw their stuff. It was beautiful. And
Yeah.
then just kept talking, and one thing led to another, and decided to get together for the retro too.
Oh man, that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I could have got one for my brother because he ended up buying a Spinnaker because he liked the vintage look. Like, that's what he was looking
Yeah.
for. Like something that looked like a vintage diver but without the crown guards.
Right.
Because he just really likes that look. He bought the Spinnaker, but it was far larger than he anticipated. And he's a tall guy, but he's got wrists like me, so it
Okay.
sits like a bit of a tuna can on his
Yeah.
wrist. But the proportions on this one are just and the yellow dial is just gorgeous. Very, very cool. And Cullen, yourself, any cool watches and
I mean, I've had a ton in the past.
Yeah.
Like Wes said, we were enthusiasts before we started Nodus. So like, I was a flipper.
mhm.
I got so many watches coming in. I got so many watches going out.
yeah.
So it was like a range from mostly micro brands at the time because that's all I could afford
Yeah.
as a college student. But just to name a few, like earliest ones, including his, there's like obviously like Steinhardt and Squale.
Yeah.
Like when you start out, those are like the cool like sub homages to get.
For sure.
And then I had
Yeah, I'm trying to rewind in my head as
I'm
well.
just trying to think about
Yeah.
all the
Yeah,
brands. Like by the time you go through like 20 or 30, you just forget
For
what you've had.
I think like the similarity would be like for me if you guys ask me like what's the most fun car you've ever
Yeah,
driven, it's like
exactly.
God
Yeah.
damn, I have a million, I can't.
Yeah.
Where do you start, right?
Yeah. But that's cool. I like what you said there about like being a college student because that's kind of where my admiration for watches came from too. When you're studying gets a little bit tiring, so you kind of like fill the empty space with hobbies and to become a watch enthusiast during that time, like for me it was watches and motorcycles. I would spend all day on Kijiji and all day on Auto Trader and researching products. I bought my original grain for myself as a birthday gift. That was a bit of a misstep, but it got me into watches, right? I ended up selling it because it didn't work as a watch, but it was something that got me into watches. It was a funky, quirky style, and I came out of it like battle hardened to get a value piece that would last me for a very long time. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
So did you ever dabble in like the Japanese affordables like Orient and Seiko or?
Orient, no.
No.
Although I do really like the Bambino, and I still to this day call my buddies Orient Mako a Bambino because I just love saying Bambino.
Yeah.
But we're of Italian heritage, so for us it's like just funny. But
That just means like child or baby or
yeah, like it's like
Yeah.
a term of endearment, really, right?
Okay.
But my first watch I bought myself that I consider a proper watch still in my collection today is my SKX. It was 007. I made sure I got the J model because my grandfather, after he passed away, he had about 5 watches, and none of them were like of any clout. So I guess you could say they were just he was an immigrant and didn't really put a lot of attention into material things, but he did have a Seiko dress watch. It was quartz, still runs to this day like perfectly, which I love about it. But at the bottom of the dial, it has made in Japan and then the little number and thing, and the SKX 007J is the only one that says that at the bottom.
Yep.
And the other color as well says that, but you have to get the J model. So I ended up choosing that one specifically, and I still have it. For me, that's the best bezel action I've ever used. I know people complain about it, but it's so easy when you're just day to day. Like the click is I still love it, and I actually use it at work to time how long customers have been waiting for me.
Yeah.
So like that for me is
that was actually my first automatic watch.
really
Yeah, the
Oh, nice.
SKX 007J.
Yeah, there
which
you go.
he actually got from me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I
after
gave him
that,
the sickness.
yeah, it was just a downward spiral from there. Like,
100%. It's
like,
hard to.
I'm the biggest Seiko nut. And, like after the SKX, I just got into like every single other Seiko diver.
That
Like
it's man with Seiko, it's hard not to love them.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find, especially if you're like savvy, you go online, you can find crazy good deals on like awesome watches that are the build quality far outweighs the amount the people, because there is a bit of, I think, watch snobbery around Seiko.
Yeah.
And that's like even Tissot, right? When you have a brand that has so many models, it kind of for enthusiasts, it may dilute their interest, but the reality is that there are great models in that category.
Yeah.
So if the SKX was your first, what is your favorite Seiko then, if you don't mind me asking, like the one that you, or even a Grail Seiko?
my first Grail ever was the Seiko Marine Master, the SBDX 001. So it's got the 300 meter like monocoque case, so it loads them from the front, from the top. There's no case back.
Oh wow.
So I finally attained it. I got a used one back in 2016. And it's been in my collection ever since, and it's my oldest watch in my collection. Like nothing will, like, that is like the oldest watch and will always be the oldest watch in my collection. I'll never let go of it.
You'll never flip it.
Never.
Yeah.
But then there's also like, I had, Seiko Tunas, the SLA 017, which is like the reissue, which is awesome. But then the Marine Master took the cake still, so I had to flip that. I had a Grand Seiko at one point, the 9F quartz diver, with a white dial, superb, but just too big for my wrist. So like I just go through a bunch, and then the ones that I really love, I obviously keep.
For sure.
Marine Master will never ever leave my collection.
Yeah. I think it's important to have like those staple pieces, and because that kind of brings you back and helps you kind of flush out the rest of your collection sometimes. Like, what is it that I love so much about this watch? For me, the 1701 will never go anywhere, despite the fact that they've been increasing in value, and that makes me feel good because it makes me feel like I made a wise financial decision and helps my girlfriend understand why I did it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think I'd ever get rid of it because it's so original and so weird, and they apparently lost money making it.
Don't ever get rid of it. That's like one of the coolest watches ever.
Ever. I think we follow everything they do.
Yeah.
Mikey ended up picking up a 1703, their GMT, which he forgot to bring today, but it's okay.
They're based in Malaysia, right?
Yeah, Singapore.
Singapore.
Kuala Lumpur. Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Malaysia,
Yeah. Is that in Singapore?
That's in Malaysia.
Malaysia, okay.
Yeah.
very close to Singapore.
Oh, I see. But yeah, just an incredible brand. And I hope that like we actually reach out to them to come to Toronto. I don't know if they will, because it's like tons of money and it's a fairly small thing. But
I think they have quite the following in Toronto.
Yeah.
Between Ming and you guys, Nodus, I think they're like in our Red Bar community. They're like the micro brand that everyone is drawn towards.
Yeah.
Ming and Nodus,
They're the two watches that whenever I bring, I have to like disinfect when I come home, because they're just covered in fingerprints and like people get sweaty at Red Bar.
That's something that we should really do more often.
Yeah.
Like
Especially with like
you guys
alcohol,
probably
Dunkin' in soap.
there's a lot of grime on that.
But you know what? It means people like your watches and that they want to get a handle on them.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to talk a little bit more about, because we have, like, at least for us, it's a very it's a first for us to have someone in, like, people who are in the industry. Now over the course of like the last year since we really started looking at micro brands, we've, or at least me personally, because I think I'm pretty strongly opinionated on this. I used to shit a lot on brands like MVMT and watches, because again, putting yourself in a buyer's position, and you see people spending like $300 on a watch that may not work in 2 or 3 years because of the build quality, knowing that these are the watches like the companies like Nodus and Ming are out there for a bit more of a premium, I kind of like would get angry at the idea that they were out there. But more recently, I've started to understand that, well, no, the same reason why I bought my original grain is the same reason why MVMT exists, and whatever gets people into wearing wristwatches, that is always a blessing. How do you guys feel about the current state of that watch market, let's say under $1,000, and how does that impact the way that you guys maybe market your watches?
You want to
Sorry
start?
if that's a loaded question.
There's a lot.
We can start with like MVMT and Den and Wellington. And to an extent Shinola.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have no ill feelings or negative feelings towards those
Yeah.
because they cater to a certain market,
Mm-hmm.
and which usually isn't our market at all.
Yeah,
And
I see it similar to like the Apple Watch or smartwatches in
Yeah.
general,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It gets people used to having a thing on their wrist,
Mhm.
and I think
Mhm.
that's kind of the important part. And then when you get bit by that bug, which doesn't happen to everyone,
Yeah.
but sometimes you'll have people that get into Apple Watches or MVMT, and they're like, okay, I need to dress up a little bit. I should put something a little bit nicer on.
That's true.
That's when they take the plunge into affordables, which under $1,000 affordable to non-watch enthusiasts sounds like a lot of money,
Yeah.
but we know how expensive these things can get, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like the price range from $500 to $1,000, or actually even like $250, you can get like a really solid piece it's gonna last way longer than MVMT.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it serves its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
MVMT, it's a great brand. I can't say it's a great product, but
Mhm.
it gets watches on people's wrists. So
yeah.
They have done like and I'll agree with you there. I think
They've-
that their marketing is just incredible
It
and
is,
what
yeah.
they've been able to build in the last few years.
Mhm.
When I was in university, the two watches I looked at were MVMT and original grain,
Mhm.
and for
Yeah.
some reason I thought wood would be cooler. But
Yeah.
Their success story, they got bought out
yeah, exactly.
for a lot of
Yeah,
money,
40 million, something like that.
plus
Yeah.
another
insane.
40 on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was if they stayed on and
Yeah.
as like
Yeah.
consultants or something.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And these guys are like 26,
Yeah.
27.
Like
so they're
you can't not respect that.
yeah.
100%. Like the hustle's there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a product of this generation where we have the ability to source, as far as watches, cases and things,
Yeah.
from other areas in the world and put
Mhm.
together a specific product. Whether or not that is done tastefully
Mhm.
is up to the person buying it, and that's
Yeah.
obviously a subjective thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, for a brand like ours, that's not the MVMT, but not quite, not even really Shinola. We kind of serve the same purpose, I think, as Shinola, where we're that segue into the world of watches.
yeah.
People a lot of time when you think watches, like a nice watch, the same brands always come up, Rolex, Omega, but all it takes is a few Google searches, and you'll find that there's an entire world out there.
Mhm.
And it's a lot easier to drop $400, $500 than on your first nice watch than just $5,000 to $6,000.
Yeah.
So I guess that's sort of the purpose that our type of brand serves. We're that segue into the world of watches, which is kind of funny that we're seeing like a lot of our new customers, especially with the release of the Contrail. We've actually had more customers that were already seasoned collectors, not like new watch enthusiasts. These are guys that have the Rolexes and the Omegas, and we have them looking at us and like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Let me get one of those. And then it's like their fun watch at that point,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like not that expensive. It lasts a long time. And we're like right here. If it ever breaks and servicing, you just
Mhm.
send it over. Well, I guess from here you have to send across a border, but
Yeah,
it's like
still.
right there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting point, because I think that with what you guys have established, like a lot of successful micro brands, is that you've captured the attention of people. You say seasoned collectors. They've been around long enough to see past the hype. I bought my first Omega. Mikey bought his first Rolex, and we rode that hype, and it was awesome. But then you sort of want a little bit more. You want a little bit more depth, and I think that's what we already sort of said this, but that's what micro brands offer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an awesome compliment. The fact that someone is willing, who has these other watches, says there's enough interest and a great price point for me to buy into this micro brand and experience what they have and leave the I call them clout pieces, and it's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that when you put on a Rolex or an Omega, the average person will perceive that, and that maybe justifies to people some of the reason to buy it.
Yeah.
Right? Because for the same money, you could probably get a Grand Seiko, and if you can appreciate titanium and crazy craftsmanship and everything there, then you would buy that. But there's a reason that people are drawn to those other brands. And yeah. So again, to have those watches and still feel a need and a desire, that's something that I think it truly represents great design, great manufacturing. And
at that point, that they're buying it for themselves. They're not buying it to wave it around and
Exactly.
have everyone take a look at their wrist and you show off how rich you are. When you buy it for yourself and it makes you happy, that's when it makes us happy. You're buying it for the right reasons now. So
very cool.
Yeah.
What else have you guys brought us here? Because I keep looking at that huge box, and can we actually turn it to the GoPro so they can see? We already have some on the table, but like, That's just awesome.
These are just our 3 models in the different colors.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like a million watches, but it's just 3 really core models.
Yeah.
We have the Avalon.
Yeah, so I think this would be a good one to look at just because.
Is this the one that the Scottish guy? What's his name? Just One More Watch.
Yeah.
Is this the same one that?
Yeah, he reviewed that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of like starstruck right now because I love that Scottish guy. And if you're watching, I don't know your name because I keep forgetting it. But Just One More Watch, like I watch all of his videos.
Yeah.
I think he's super entertaining. Mikey's laughing right now. Let me have this one. No, that's so.
Well, the Avalon channels the sort of Seiko energy that Cullen just fell in love with, that like got him into watches. So that's sort of our flagship Halo model.
Bezel Action is awesome.
Yeah, so like design language is still very much our own, but I'm sure you can tell it pulls inspiration from a lot of legendary Seiko divers.
The case design, especially
Yes.
like super vintage with that really thin. What is the diameter there?
20.
Between the lugs. 20. Oh wow.
Yeah.
The case because
It's close to 44.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's the proportions don't work on paper, but in real life, it you can see why we chose 20.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous. Like that, because it looks like a larger watch until you put it on your wrist.
Yeah.
That's really well done. The case design is really incredible there, and it was vintage Seiko divers that was the inspiration for.
It was like a bit of the Marine Master that I own,
Mhm.
and then Seiko Sumo, Seiko Turtle. So it combines like all the elements of those and into like what we think is like a good cushion case diver.
I love what you guys do with the case backs. The Contrail 39. I love that image of the jets. Very American for me. So I love that. But it's really cool. You have, is this Excalibur? On
Yes.
the back?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's cool. And what is that? How does that tie into the design language of the piece?
Well, it's called the Avalon. Avalon is from Arthurian legend, and it's basically the name of the island that King Arthur went to heal after all his battles. It's also where Excalibur was forged. And off the coast of Southern California, there's an island or a city on an island called Avalon.
Huh. I honestly love. I've never been to Los Angeles or even California, but I kind of love that you guys draw a lot of inspiration from that area because. Okay, personally, I've watched Jay Leno's Garage since I was a kid, and I think he's in Burbank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've never been to Burbank, but I feel like I know Burbank just from watching him drive. It also seems a lot like the area that we grew up in the summer, at least. When you watch, because there's a lot of industrial area, there's a huge car culture there, and so like knowing that I've bought into a brand from even just Los Angeles in general, I feel like that just reminds me.
The Contrail Laguna sand actually is. We just drew inspiration from Laguna Beach.
Oh, okay.
Which is, like a nice beach in Southern California. We saw
south of LA.
Yeah, we saw the color of the sand, and we're like, wow. Oh, color of the dial, and then we're like,
that could go on that's like, it looks like sand.
Yeah, it works very well. Again, it drew my attention like immediately. But what other Contrail models do you have in there? Do you have a Laguna Sand model?
No, unfortunately, it sold out, so we don't have it.
Much to my dismay.
So that's the Infinity Blue.
I tried to win this one.
So that one and this one were the 2 new dials.
Yeah. I think you guys had like a promotion. I think you were raffling off one of these specifically, or
it was actually a limited edition. There's one of 2 Cirrus Blue, so it's like a baby blue.
That was never for sale.
Yeah, it was never for sale.
We just prototyped them and then
ended up not making it. So we gave it away.
I gotta say, I love my Contrail 39, but if this was available, I would have went with this one. Just because I'm a sucker for sunburst effect on a dial. Like, here, I'm going to hand you these 2 now, because you guys know what they look like.
Yeah.
But, here. Mikey made an appearance on the podcast for a second. But I think that sunburst dial is incredible. And for people watching on YouTube, we will post photos of these watches so you know why I'm smiling so much. Another aspect, and it's the first one people actually notice, hint, hint, when I show them your watches, is the bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
We have a friend who like loves watches on bracelet. He's a bracelet enthusiast, we'll call it. Doesn't like leather. And when he saw this and I told him the price point, he was like blown away because this H-link design, like I don't know where you guys drew inspiration from, but I've never seen a pattern like this, as smooth as it is and as comfortable as it is, at that price point.
Yeah, I mean, we love H-Links just because of the comfort factor.
Yeah.
It's kind of, in terms of design, it's like neutral. You know what I mean? It's not
Mm-hmm.
like beads of rice can be a little bit abrasive for some people.
Mm-hmm.
H-Link was just like a nice, clean look that complemented our clean, like minimalist designs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an oyster.
And it's not an oyster. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Most
I'm very
important.
happy about that. I did buy a strap code bracelet for the SKX.
Mhm.
This is like a total oyster,
The
you
super
know.
oyster one, right?
Yeah. And it's good. Like it is what it is. But you know what I love more? I bought my brother an Alpinist last year for his birthday. It was the green dial Alpinist,
Mhm.
and he ended up sourcing the Angus strap
Jubilee,
code
yeah.
Jubilee that is the same color.
That's a
It's-
beast.
Oh yeah, it's on his wrist.
Yeah.
It's chunky, but
Yeah.
it looks so cool.
Yeah.
It beefs it up. Now it looks like a mountaineer's watch.
Yeah.
Like you could base jump. You know that my metaphors are a little bit like out there, but yeah, that's cool.
Do you have a wish list? Like what's the next couple of watches that's on your to collect list?
So for me, I had the pleasure of holding a Rolex Explorer 1 at one of our red bars.
36.
What's the newest reference?
214-270.
This one I think was 38. If they make it, did they make it in 38?
They're making 36 and 39.
Okay, so it was a 39. It was
Yeah.
the larger one.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it because like for me, my perfect 3-watch collection, and this is just very personal to me, it would be my Omega Seamaster 300. I have the black dial version, 300M, not the heritage looking one. The Explorer 1 and Speedmaster Professional. We've had the debate, Sapphire Sandwich or Hesselite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
It really just goes off of whatever you feel that day, I find.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like there's no real they're both advantageous in their own ways, but yeah, so for me a Speedy and an Explorer 1 in the future would round out my 3-watch
Like your
collection.
core,
yeah.
yeah.
And then everything else is fun.
Yeah.
Like, stuff that I just love talking to people about.
Yeah.
Before today, I probably told people that you guys were coming on the podcast like 6 or 7 times. I purposely worn this watch every day this week just so I could be like, yeah, the guys made this watch. They're coming on. But what about yourselves, like going forward?
Speedy for sure, but same as you. Depends on the day and time, which one to go for.
Yeah.
Gonna have to think a little bit more on the other.
I'll let you think. It's kind of funny
Yeah.
because like we're kind of going the opposite directions. Like you guys started out with like these really awesome pieces and then branching out to explore like smaller brands.
Yeah.
For us, we mostly started out with these small brands and like we're aspiring to get like just like a Speedy or like something along the lines of that for our like as like super like staples in our collection.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I know I'm saving up for a Speedy.
Oh
yeah.
I've been seeing them. I mean, they're at every single get together,
Of course.
Yeah.
and I think every watch collector has to have one or had one in their collection because it's just such an iconic and great watch.
Yeah.
That's definitely on my radar.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever find that like the NASA affiliation really makes you like that? For me, that's what drives that, and that would be the reason I would choose the Hesselite a little bit more.
Yeah.
Especially watching that movie recently about Neil Armstrong. I was about to say Lance Armstrong for a second. About Neil Armstrong and watching Ryan Gosling. Like those guys were superheroes.
Yeah.
Like to strap yourselves to a rocket and being a car guy, you kind of already have an appreciation for engineering and that kind of thing, but to watch what they were able to do and to know that their go-to tool, the one that could never break, because when everything else broke, they had to do calculations using like I just think that is so cool.
Yeah.
And that for me is why the Hesselite might be the one. The only reason I wouldn't is because I remind myself that I live in like a modern society, and if I smack it against something, I don't want to be sitting there all night.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's definitely a cool story. I don't think I would buy it just because of that though.
yeah.
I tend to lean towards the Hesselite as well, actually, because I like the warmth of the crystal a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like you said, I would have to be a little bit careful when I wear it.
Exactly.
So,
That's
and
I really hope.
Acrylic's not that bad. Come on.
yeah, it's not too bad.
No, they
just buff it out.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I bought
Cullen knows I'm super rough with my watches. So I'm gonna take this off before.
the Ming.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, where I got Polywatch. I just go home and I spend my time there. But I hope that you guys will have the chance to meet one of the guys at Red Bar who is like the biggest advocate, Red Bar Toronto, biggest advocate for Hesalite. Like he loses his mind when we talk about Sapphire Sandwich, because he has a Hesalite and he wears it all the time, and he says you just polish it and you can live with it, and it's a perfectly fine usable watch. But the one thing he speaks about is the warmth of that dial, and the way that it refracts light.
Also, like, a lot of people don't really care for a display back. I feel like once you get over that, like, the initial fascination when it comes to like what a mechanical movement looks like, you're cool with the solid case back. I mean, granted, the movement is more decorated. It looks nicer than the solid case back, but you can't see it in the solid case back anyways. So like, I guess it's more of a purist choice to like go for the Hesalite with the solid case back, because it's like no frills. It's like not fancy in any way. It's just what it was when it went up to the moon.
And it's cheaper.
And it's
exactly that definitely helps.
Does the Sapphire Sandwich really justify the $1,000 difference? I don't know how much.
Plus, I mean, like, all watches, modern watches use sapphire now. So like, if I want a watch I'm gonna go beat up, I'm gonna get a Pelagos. Which is, I would say, probably the other number 2 on my list. Pelagos? I have one on loan from a friend, and it's a 2-liner, the black 2-liner.
Okay.
Oh man, I love that thing.
I think that is probably one of the watches that's titanium best. Because you just don't even. I'll be honest, I held my first Snowflake. Sounds weird if people aren't huge watch nerds, but I held my first Snowflake not too long ago. And while it was immediately impressive, I just don't have the appreciation for titanium in sports watches. I can appreciate titanium here in a dress watch, but in a sport watch, I just don't have that appreciation yet. I want that heft. And I felt with the Grand Seiko, it was like not enough heft. A little bit too jiggly. But the Pelagos is like the size and
it's
everything.
A brick. Perfect. So it needs to be titanium. It's thick.
And what about the bracelet? The buckle mechanism is so cool. Like I think the one thing about Tudor, at least in the last like 5 years or so, it's like Rolex's fun cousin. Like they're experimenting. They're maybe some of the stuff they're doing is chintzy, like relying on Lady Gaga to sell watches and David Beckham, but they're fun. Like they're fun watches. And I think if the resale value was maybe a little bit better, and there wasn't the whole stigma about being Rolex Junior, I think they would sell more, and we'd see a lot more of them.
I think they got a lot of hate for using ETA movements, and that's why they went in-house. But like personally, I would still rather have the ETA version of the Black Bay, for example, like the smile dial. It's thinner. I like that smiley face on the dial. It's just like
you don't like the essay of text.
No,
you don't like that.
No.
Speaking of like brands like Tudor, so brands that occupy, because I think as watch enthusiasts, we kind of like have a pyramid in mind, right? Like you have the Holy Trinity, which I feel weird saying now because like I don't handle nearly enough Vacherons, APs or Pateks to really say like they're the Holy Trinity. I just know that they're expensive and whatever. But let me you guys tell me if you agree. The way that my mind sets that pyramid is you have the Holy Trinity up top, and then I go immediately down to brands like JLC and brands that you still have to pay like a $10,000 or more premium to get, but you just don't see everywhere. Below brands like that, I would put Rolex, Omega together, and then underneath, I think I'd put like Tag, Tudor, Breitling. I kind of associate those with more sport. And Seiko, I think, has things at every level. So it's kind of difficult there.
If you go one level deeper than that, I think you're talking like Zin, Oris, and that's kind of that area of the market gets very interesting, because then you also have brands like Monta and Ferrer, Oak and Oscar, all in the same price range. So I would say that would be the hardest price range to pick a watch in, just because of how interesting it is right now. 2 years ago, you would not find any of that. It's like Zin, Oris,
and honestly,
Damasco, like
once you hit the $2,000 mark, the quality differences are not going to be that much more, unless we're talking about movements.
Perceivable
quality. Like after that, the returns are just so diminishing. So like really the sweet spot is 2000 and under for quality, I would say.
Very true. I'm thinking back to like Mikey has an Oris Pro Pilot Racing Edition,
Yeah.
Air Racing, and we were blown away by the initial quality. You had like I'll speak for him because he's not on mic, but one of his favorite things about the watch is that when you turn the crown in, it always has the Oris logo the right way up. Like that, little things like that are just they're cool.
Yeah.
And actually, we had the pleasure of being at an event, a Red Bar event hosted by Oris, and I gotta say, like, if I wanted a vintage inspired diver 65s are so cool. Yeah. Like they're just made so well.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's so popular. It's such a great design. It's built well.
And every time they do some kind of LE, it's always like they hit it right out of the park.
Yeah, they look good.
It's
they
always
look,
beautiful.
especially that Red Bar version.
Yeah.
Oh, with the red dial.
That one is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get your hands on
Red's
that,
coming in, man.
It is.
Red is like the hot color.
I saw Ratto just released the Iron Horse. Why are you fisting in the
My
air?
Ming was red.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I was
Red
gonna
is
say.
hot, man.
You have the Iron Man Ming. You have the red dial with the gold. It's titanium, but it's been anodized gold, so it's cool.
Is it like a fume dial, or is it just a straight up red?
It's sunburst?
Yeah, it's
it's sunburst.
Dark
Yeah.
burgundy,
Ooh.
if
It's a
anything.
1703 BB that they released.
Yeah.
It was like a
Okay.
limited edition that they released at the end of its run.
Should have been IR, but Iron Man. Tony Stark is. Are you guys Marvel nuts at all? Or
A little bit, yeah.
I think with like the way the MCU is right now, or it was because it's kind of done now, I guess,
Yeah.
or like what they were building up to.
Yeah.
I think it's hard not to be a little bit of a Marvel nut.
Yeah.
Hopefully DC can come up with some cool.
I don't
stuff
have high
too.
hopes, but
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, the money is all in Marvel.
Yeah.
But a little bit of another tangent. Are you guys basketball fans at all?
He is, and and he forces me
Kawhi
to.
from us.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the hell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's
Is that red?
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great dial, man.
Yeah, what was the celebration like for you guys up here?
So, well, me and Mikey actually had the opportunity to not be a part of it because we were at a buddy's house. We watched it, and then a bunch of guys were gonna go down.
Like
But
20 minutes north of the city.
yeah, but we both had work the next day.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, I can't call in sick, and he couldn't call in sick. So it's like, let's go home. But even on the way home, the entire city's honking their horns.
Yeah.
Like, you guys in LA, I think you've had enough championships in like at least the last 20 years. Toronto hasn't won a major like national championship
Yeah.
outside of
Won
soccer
the CFL.
and the CFL, whatever. But like we compete with America a lot, or the United States a lot,
Yeah.
right? And typically Canadian teams, because there's so few of them, especially in baseball and basketball, we typically don't win. So for us to win was huge.
Yeah.
Like it boosted the city, and man, like Kawhi is just an incredible player.
Yeah.
I think that it was a team effort toward the end of like the series with Golden State, but to get us there, Kawhi was instrumental.
Yeah.
And we're obviously sad to see him go, but
Are you a Clippers or Lakers fan?
I'm one of 20 Clippers fans in the world.
Yeah.
so you are
So,
literally the
I
literally stole Kawhi.
Yeah.
I got into basketball during the Lob City era. So like Lakers obviously sucked, and they will be. Here's a hot take: they're not going to be as good as the Pelicans next year.
really.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Let's
I was gonna
listen
say,
to
this
this
It's
in a
just
year.
funny because it's like everyone likes to shit on the Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear it all the time because like I get shit on all the time by Lakers fans because I'm a Clippers fan. But like I got into basketball later than most people.
Yeah.
So my first game was a Clippers game versus Spurs, and then I just fell in love with Clippers. And then that was like 2015. So ever since then, I've been a Clippers fan, and now it's like I have no idea what to expect. Like this is like so unreal.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't expect him to come here because like
I don't think anyone did. People were totally counting the Clippers out of
Yeah.
that negotiation.
I mean the media says what they want to say, right? They don't want
Yeah.
it to be the Clippers, but
Yeah.
you know it's exciting.
Yeah.
I am happy he didn't go to the Lakers
Oh, yeah.
because
He wouldn't have.
I don't agree with the super team stuff.
That's
and whatever.
That's
but
not his
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
He wants to destroy LeBron. He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
It's weird though. I
I don't
heard
want to be under his shadow.
No.
one thing that the media really controls what we know as far as what they say. But I remember before he was signed to Toronto, right after we had traded DeRozan for him, it was everyone was saying, oh, he wants to go to the Lakers. He wanted to play with LeBron. He wanted to stay in his hometown and everything. And it gave us like this terrible image of who Kawhi was.
Yeah.
And he totally demolished that image by
Yeah.
being humble and like quiet and modest.
He
and,
didn't do anything, and he just completely changed. He just played basketball. That's all
Yeah,
he did.
exactly.
And then everyone just loved him.
He also said "ni hao" very
Yeah.
awkwardly.
And of course the laugh in the very beginning of the season.
I don't know if you guys watch Game of Zones on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
When they had the episode, because I always love the episodes where they talk about the Raptors. And at the end of the episode, it's where DeMar gets, again, for people who don't know, Game of Zones is like a parody of Game of Thrones about the NBA. Because if there's one sport that has drama throughout the entire season, it is the NBA. You don't get that in anything else.
It's 365 days of just pure drama.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's a reality TV show, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a sport.
No, it's not like anything else out there.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. But I just love how they did at the end of this episode, right? When Kyle Lowry's on the ground, like, why'd you trade my friend? And then you just see Kawhi as a White Walker, and you don't see his face, you just see his feet, and he goes, it's that laugh.
Yeah.
But no, congratulations, you guys got him back, and he's going to be an instrumental part to that team's success.
I'm kind of pissed though, because like Clippers games are gonna be so expensive now.
Yeah.
I could get like 100 section seats for like $50.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how it was for the Raptors for the last few years. Yeah, dude, they were cheap. Now the Jays are crazy cheap because the Jays are sort of in a rebuild. And
Have you guys heard of the Toronto ticket prices?
For what, the
Like,
playoffs?
in general.
I mean, I'm sure it's insane now.
I know that LA obviously has the worst traffic in the world and all, but and
Isn't Toronto worse now?
thank you. It seems that way because you guys have California itself has the population of Canada, all within one massive state.
Yeah.
But Toronto is a fairly densely populated, part of Ontario. And in the GTA, the traffic, we don't have infrastructure for this stuff. Like maybe we'll segue into cars a little bit now, but like people in this area of the GTA, it's a little bit different down here. Everyone north of, we'll say, Davenport, heading north toward, like, it's still considered Toronto, everyone has a car. Every single person has their own car. Like, you can be 16, now you have a car. And when you load, an old infrastructure like Toronto with all these cars, it is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
To get down here, we left around 7:30 this morning, and it still took us about an hour and 20 minutes to get down here.
Is
using Waze.
the subway doesn't go that far north?
The subway only goes, actually, just recently, they brought it to the Vaughan Metropolitan Center, which is sort of, like, it's relatively far north for us, but Toronto's subway infrastructure is not like any other city in the world, I don't think. Like, when I was watching Spider-Man as a kid, and Tobey Maguire's fighting Doc Ock in the New York subway system, and it was multi-leveled. I was like, what the hell? It's like a roller coaster. Toronto's just one flat line. Yeah. And you have another flat line going one direction, another flat line.
One like this and one like this.
Yeah. That is, there's only one area where they cross.
Right.
Yeah. Or maybe there's two. But it is, it is not built for the amount of people that want to live here.
Yeah.
So that's something that we struggle with every day. But what it actually does, and I think places with a lot of traffic like LA, like Toronto, it's going to spur creative ideas to get around traffic. And personally, I think that that's going to come down to what the next generation of personal transportation is. I've seen, I know they're pretty big in Los Angeles because obviously the weather permits it there, but those boosted boards, I think that's perfect. Like
scooters,
scooters,
electronic bikes,
things
that are everywhere.
Single person transportation don't take up a lot of space. They can move quickly. If there is an accident, you don't have all these bricks sitting on the road wasting resources. People getting more frustrated. Quality of life diminishes with worse and worse traffic. So that's something exciting. I personally would love if everyone could get like a scooter, or a motorcycle. I think I'm a big motorcycle guy, so I think that would solve a lot of problems.
You guys don't have any of those scooter things here in Toronto?
They're called
Bird,
yeah.
Or Lime.
It wouldn't permit for like half the year, right?
No.
Yeah. Like weather in Toronto, between, I would say, May to October, you have a good bearing on how bad the weather's going to be. Usually, like days like today are beautiful, but then you can get but in between those months, it could snow, slush, sleet, and we're salting all the time. Like it's definitely not great if you're looking for like exposed transportation.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why you kind of need a larger vehicle, especially so you don't slip.
Well, the interesting about those scooters is that apparently, so these companies are not profitable at all yet.
Really?
Yeah, and for them to reach profitability, apparently the scooter has to have a lifespan of like 9 weeks, 8 to 9 weeks, and they last on average 3 to 4 now. So they're not designed for outdoors, even in a place like LA where, you know, everyone talks about the weather. Like it's great weather, but it's still not good enough to have these things last. So they need to figure that out first.
Yeah. I guess you have to imagine it's outside 24/7. Like they don't come inside. They're not in climate controlled environments.
It's not just that. It's how people handle it.
Yeah.
You can't rely on people.
On top of that, the homeless population is,
you
know, it's going nuts in LA right now.
Really?
And a lot of them,
everywhere.
You know, it's just not good to have these free scooters out for anyone to use in that context, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, I mean, we have a bit of, you know, a homeless situation here as well in Toronto. Since I was a kid, I've seen, you know, it get worse and worse. And it's frustrating because when you see a city, like I'm sure you guys love LA, you know, like clearly you let it influence your brand. And I think I can speak for Mikey here and saying, like, you know, we love Toronto. We love the city, the GTA in general, the Greater Toronto area. It's tough when you see these large scale issues and kind of diminishes the experience you have down there. But I mean, hopefully there's some sort of technology will be able to help out. Yeah. I'm sure is one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about because like you live in the mecca for Tesla, right? Like that's where I feel like
I had a feeling I was going to go there.
Yeah. Do you feel like a lot of people are jumping on the Tesla bandwagon now? Like there's a lot more going on.
We aren't in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
So if you go to the Bay Area, there's more Teslas than Toyotas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Southern California still has a shit ton of Teslas.
Yeah.
I can swear, right? Okay.
No. Okay. Get out.
Has a shit ton of so many Teslas. What's your opinion on them? I know you did a podcast on it.
Yeah. Well, okay. It's like a two-stage question because when I first heard about Tesla and what they were doing, it's like, well, I get it, but I would never want one. I like to hear the roar of a V8, or I like to shift my own gears, or whatever other bullshit I threw along with it. But recently, for Father's Day, I got my dad an appointment at a Tesla boutique store, and man, when you experience it, car guy, not car guy, whatever you're into, they're incredible machines.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. I mean, no one doesn't like going fast unless, of course, then you don't like, transportation in general. But what they're able to do is incredible. And regardless of if it's Tesla that's going to be around forever, the same way that Ford and GM and Chrysler kind of built what we know today, the fact that he's awakened people, I'm going to say Elon Musk, even though it's a huge company. Yeah. The fact that he's been able to awaken people to usable electric cars and the benefits and advantages over the internal combustion engine will change us forever. Yeah, because they are completely incredible machines. Yeah, and I work in a service department for a Honda dealership. I see the complexity of the internal combustion engine, and there's a difference in mechanical complexity and like software complexity. Software complexity, you do need computer engineers, but there's just less things to go wrong, right? When you talk about an engine, mechanical, like there are tons of things. It's like a watch movement compared to a quartz movement. There are a lot more factors at play there, and we've gotten really, really good at it. But is it as sustainable as something like an electric motor? I just don't think so. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think at some point, electric vehicles are just not even reaching maturity yet. I think it hasn't even started. But I think at some point we're actually going to see in the enthusiast market for cars, they're going to see the combustion engine in a similar way we see automatic movements. You just kind of see it as something that's like, it's more of a romantic thing that you have with your watch. You know what I mean? Like that emotional connection with it. And you're like, yeah, I want to like feel the power. Whereas I think the vast majority of people, when EVs do reach maturity, are going to be going with the quartz equivalent because it's more reliable, fewer moving parts, not as much maintenance. It's just more convenient. Yeah.
I think that insight's so important because what people in the automotive industry are going through now, some may call it a crisis. Like I know for my business, like if Honda makes electric cars, mechanics, become computer engineers. Yeah. They lose all the older guys will lose a lot of the knowledge that they've needed. But that crisis already happened in the watch industry in the 70s with quartz. Yeah. So you can kind of like look to one industry, right? Watches were something a lot of people owned. It's part of their daily life and something they relied on. And you can kind of transpose that into what's happening with cars right now. But yeah, I mean, I seriously hope Tesla does well with their tunneling and everything. Like, I think that's important. You need this like real life Tony Stark figure to push people to open their eyes and see what we're capable of. Because stagnant and not developing is obviously counterintuitive. So, yeah, but I'm crazy excited. And one thing that another thing that kind of relates to that. Have you guys ever messed around with carburetors?
I have
on engines.
With motorcycles.
Yeah. So, are you like a motorcycle nut a little bit? Or?
I did in the past.
Yeah.
Like in my teenage years.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what's your question?
My point is carburetors are ridiculously, unnecessary now that we have fuel injection. But there's still a fun part of, rebuilding, tuning, and finding problems in a carburetor. And when you get it working, that's something that you'll never get from like inputting software. But that mechanic, like listening to an engine and tuning it to run properly is something you just won't get. So like we said with the watch, it's that emotional connection that people will crave in the future, and it's the reason why we still like classic cars and classic motorcycles. They're totally defunct and they're not meant for every day. But if you can use that as a hobby, it's good for the human mind to just put yourself into it's critical thinking, right? The same way that we just like to challenge ourselves, and I think that's what it'll represent. But
the smell and the noise, you can't replace that.
Yeah. We were actually this weekend talking because I have two bikes and they're both carbureted. One is a vintage Vespa, not really vintage, but we won't get into that. It was made in like India, but it's with 1980s Vespa blueprints. So it looks just like a Vespa from the 80s.
It's not a Piaggio. It's a
Stella.
Okay.
So they're probably pretty popular in California, I would imagine, because they actually sold mostly.
I don't see any scooters.
Really?
There are no scooters. It's all motorbikes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you, especially because
highway riding, I think, is a biggest reason.
People want at least a 250cc. Well, there's plenty of like big scooters, but you don't see them there like you see them here.
Yeah. Funny story about the Vespa. So I bought that as my first bike because I was building a 1978 CB550. It's like one of the first 4-cylinder motorcycles.
Doing a cafe racer?
Yeah, exactly. Nice. One of those guys. But that was taking so long, and I needed to go get my license. The way it works in Canada, you have like a learner's permit, then you get like a fake full license that only lasts 5 years. And I was at the fifth. Like I was in my 5th year and I'd never had a bike because I got it when I was 18 and my parents are super protective, so they didn't want me to get one anyway. So I said, okay, I got to get something that I can get my license on, and I want it to be cool, funky, and cheap. And this manual 4-speed Vespa was like the best option for me, at least. I thought it was really cool. And I signed up for my motorcycle test, and there's a great thing here. There's a college in Toronto that it's called Humber College, and you can sign up for a course, and at the end of the course, you do your test. When I showed up on the Vespa, I was like instantly the laughing stock of everyone. These guys were on like big cruisers, like Aprilia sport bikes, and then there's me showing up.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
but it's honestly probably the coolest bike there.
Oh yeah, because it was the most original. Like it was the funkiest, and the instructors loved it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until it broke down literally 4 times, like on the way to do the course, because you had to show up at like 7 a.m. My taillight fell out.
Oh man.
And thank God I was driving by the dealership I work at. So I pulled in. I'm like, guys, I need bolts. Like there was only a few mechanics there, and we secured it again. Drove there. The clutch ended up slipping because through the course of the day, you're putting a lot of strain on this bike. So the clutch cable ended up slipping. So I'd be clutch in, come into a light, stall. I'm like, okay. So then the French-Canadian instructor and I propped the Vespa up on its center stand, and we're like adjusting the clutch cable.
Oh, jeez.
Did all this work. The brake lights wouldn't work. And something you should really take into account, if you're ever doing a motorcycle test and someone's following you, they're probably going to give you a mic. Mics don't really work with open face helmets, which you're never going to ride a Vespa without an open face helmet. So
you don't look badass with the
yeah, exactly. It doesn't, like, I have a vintage helmet that I wear on the CB, but on the Vespa I just look like an astronaut who's missing the flight. Like I'm like, where's this guy going? So I had the open face helmet. I couldn't hear a word they were saying to me, and it's one way. So I'm yelling, like flailing my arms. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know where you want me to go. So that was not good. But at the end of it, they still gave me my license. Because I guess they saw I had a heart. And then I drove it home. I went out to move it to do the oil change, and the clutch cable snapped.
Oh, man.
So that was the it sucked because it snapped. But I thought, thank God that didn't happen during the test or on the way home. It waited till I was done. The Vespa.
Yeah.
So would you say the unreliability is the Indian part of it or the Italian part of it?
Both.
Okay.
This is my theory. And Genuine Scooter Company, if you're listening, this is my theory. Vespa PXs were crazy popular, right? But in Italy in the 80s, they couldn't afford to build them there. The labor rates are too high. So they sublet all the work out to India, where the manufacturing was cheap and parts could be made cheaply. I think that those parts stayed there from the 80s, leftover PX parts, and someone had the great idea and said, let's repurpose these as a retro scooter in the early 2000s. And they sold like hotcakes for a while. There's parts of my bike that, because it's from 2012, but the rubber is eroding like it was made in 1985.
Yeah.
So I have that. That's my theory, that it's on the ownership, it says 2012, but it rides and drives like it's from the 80s.
Yeah.
The only modern part is that it's a 4-stroke engine instead of a 2-stroke. So that's what makes it CARB compliant in Canada and probably California.
Yeah.
Is the 4-stroke.
Yeah.
No, it's hilarious, and I always thought about selling it, but I just can't. Like for me, it looks romantic, it drives romantic, and I romanticize a lot of things, but the Vespa is like a one-off type thing.
Yeah.
And then the CB is the opposite. The CB just scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
It's totally mechanical.
Is that what you primarily ride?
So I just got it running this year. So I've ridden it a few times. It still has to be plated and insured. So I just tune it around my neighborhood, which my neighbors hate.
Yeah.
But
it's not that fast though, right? It's like
no.
What, like 80 horsepower? No, less than that.
I think it was like 45.
45, yeah, way less. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's
that's nothing.
No, it's not a fast bike, but it's the way that it gets there that scares the shit out of me, because it's not like the Vespa. You can full throttle and it's just like it goes.
Yeah.
It's like a lawnmower leaf blower engine, but this thing is very loud. I'll show you guys a video after. I'm just not used to that acceleration. Plus what I've done to it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
I wanted it to just be a showcase of the engine itself, and everything around it. But that makes it very abusive. And I also have rear sets, so like where the linkages for the brake and the shifter are, they're not actually where they're supposed to be, and that makes it very difficult. Yeah.
I saw some guy riding a cafe racer the other day. I don't know what it was. He went by too quickly, but his sitting position was the most awkward thing ever. But he was like in the full getup, like vintage, like classic, like leather jacket.
Yeah.
But it looked kind of dorky because like he was like sitting like hands like this, but like his was like this, and I'm like, damn, that just looks really uncomfortable.
There's something about, like, if you're gonna go full cafe, you have to go full out. So if you're gonna cafe a bike, cafe for people who don't know, it's like you're sportifying these old bikes that were cruisers, right? They would race from cafe to cafe in England, and that's why they needed to be as sporty as possible. What makes a sport bike ride and fit like a sport bike is the fact that handlebars are nice and low and your feet are behind your knees, versus a cruiser, upright position. It's like you're driving a shopping cart. And the Hondas from the 70s were upright shopping carts, like you drive like that. So yeah, there's guys that only do half the work, and they'll put the clip-on handlebars down here, but then their legs are still up front.
So that's
what
he was doing.
It's like you're taking a dump on the bike. But yeah, and actually, you know who did it well? Mikey actually sat on a Triumph last weekend. There's a Triumph Bonneville Bobber. They did it really well. Relatively low handlebars, but the foot controls are, they're not too far back, so you're still comfortable. And it didn't feel awkward at all. Even though in the photos it looked kind of awkward. But yeah, it's just, I mean, motorcycles, I think for anyone, any car guy, kind of like, you just kind of get into motorcycles because they're like the ultimate performance thing. And they're terrifying as well in a lot of ways. Speaking of cars, though, I'm always interested. What would, like, first car? That I think says a lot about a person and their relationship with their first car. So for you guys, what was your first car?
Well, my first car is one I still drive because I lived in overseas, like big cities. You don't really need a car. I was in Boston before LA. You definitely don't want a car there.
Yeah.
So I'm driving Infiniti Q50.
Oh wow, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Q50, that's the Infiniti Coupe, right?
No.
Sedan.
Okay, but the newer ones with
VQ 337.
Yeah. Okay. Without the it's steered by wire.
Yes,
right?
drive by wire. Yeah.
That was.
Does it have that feature, or is that only on the high end?
It's mine doesn't. Mine's like the base.
Just
model,
normal electric steering.
Yeah.
I just remember one of the guys from Motor Trend. I think it's Jason something. he was saying like he took that steer by wire, which is new and only Infiniti does it, and I guess in their other models, he took it on the track and he said it's like it sucks. Like he steering wheel cranked, the wheels are doing their own thing because the car's trying to figure itself out, but you're controlling something.
Yeah.
Throttle by wire is different because you're just actuating a cable, right? Or you're actuating a throttle valve, but steer by wire can be a little bit finicky.
Yeah.
It's fast though.
Oh,
it is.
sure,
yeah.
Really fast.
The Nissan VQ series are great sounding, powerful V6s.
Yeah.
Like between that and Honda's J series, I think that they're just incredible.
Yeah.
They're getting old.
Yeah. That was what we said in one of our GTR.
They sound
podcasts.
like VQs.
Yeah.
Like I close my eyes, any Nissan V6 like VQ, I can tell you, oh, that's a Nissan.
Yeah. I like the sound.
Has that noise, especially at startup.
Yeah.
Has that little roar.
Yeah. Even my grandfather's Frontier has a little bit of that rumble. He had a Ranger before, and the Ranger sounded like absolute dog shit. Like it just like a vacuum. But the Frontier actually has some good noise to it.
Yeah, my entire car shakes when you start it up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's like characteristic for the VQ, right?
Yeah.
It's like has that crazy vibration.
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
It's like mechanical grunt.
I'm not a Nissan guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yourself?
I got like I had a third hand, like the third gen TL.
Oh, okay.
So before Acura became shitty.
Yes. So third gen TL would be what year?
2006.
Okay, so that was the cool one. Front wheel drive.
Front wheel drive.
Yeah, before they brought
J32.
in, Yeah.
I had the 5-speed auto, unfortunately. Which if you know TLs, like third gen TLs, 2004 to 2006, like a glass transmission.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of Honda V6s back in the day with the 5-speed auto. So like that thing before I bought it, like it already had been replaced. And then I drove it for like 40, almost 50,000 miles, and then the transmission died again.
Did you ever think about doing a manual swap in that car?
It's not worth the money.
Yeah.
And the labor. Because like by the time like it broke, the car was worth like $3,000.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just gonna I had to scrap this. Like that there's no way to like I'm not gonna do a transmission swap either. Like another auto rebuild, because like it'll be another $3,000. Like it'll be the same amount of money as like what it's worth.
Exactly.
So the car got totaled essentially, and I'm like, okay. So luckily my brother at the time, he was switching cars, so I got a hand-me-down from him, which is the 7th gen Accord coupe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was.
It's a 2.4.
Okay. Yeah. The 4.
Yeah. So obviously it's not like a fun car, but I can't complain because it was free.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the TL was a lot of fun. Wes always makes fun of me because I'm like, I always say I miss that car. He's like, I do too. Because like he always shits on the Honda because like it's like falling apart on the inside. Like every like plastic part has like disintegrated.
Oh yeah.
And but like it's a 15-year-old car. Like what do you expect?
Yeah.
When that happened to his TL, that's like the saddest I've ever saw him. Like in my entire all the years I've known Cullen, and he recently just misplaced his Seiko tuna. And
recently, it was like 8 months ago. I lost my.
It feels recent. It was during like Avalon shipping season, so there are like hundreds of watches everywhere. And then we finally finished up, and he's like, "Wait a minute, where the fuck is my tuna?" And we still can't find it.
Went in a package.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, lucky
chance?
Customer.
Yeah, but even then, he still wasn't as sad as when the TL died.
Man, it's that Honda emotional connection. Like
it was a great. I mean, like it was my first car, and then like like you do the stupid like teenager mods.
Yeah.
So like intake with no tune, no exhaust, no J pipe swap, but nothing. Just like
you don't hear that induction
just an intake.
noise.
Yeah, because you might even lose horsepower, but like it just sounds cool.
Yeah.
Stupid stuff like that.
Jeremy Clarkson on Top Gear put it in a great way, and this is when Top Gear was still Top Gear and not the Grand Tour.
Yeah.
But I apparently the second season's good, so I have to give them a fair shot. But it's peacocking for a young man, right? Like the car and the noise a car makes, and the noises you can make it make is how you attract the opposite sex. Like that's or whatever you're into. That's how you you put yourself out there. It's like this is my car. Whoa.
Yeah.
And that's what people do. I was telling Mikey a story. One day I was this is last year when I was tuning the bike, trying to get it ready, and I'm at a light, and it's just an old bike. It sounds pretty good in my opinion. It's pretty loud, and a guy in a VW Golf GTI pulls up, newer Golf, and he's with his girlfriend in the car, and I just look over because he's very close to me, so I'm like, okay, cool. And then the light's red, and right away, clutch in. Whoop, 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 whoop. He starts doing that. I'm like, oh, don't do this.
Yeah.
But then it became a point of pride.
Oh,
So I start cranking down on the throttle, but an old engine that's not running well,
No.
stalled. No.
Oh, man.
So I'm trying to kick it over. It doesn't kick over properly because my rear's set. So I'm trying to crank it, right? And then the light turns green and he jets off. So needless to say, his girlfriend was still in love with him after that. Probably thought I looked like an idiot, but that's what it comes to for a young man. That's what you do.
Yeah.
I did on my first car was an Acura CSX.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Intake, did a muffler.
What year was that?
Delete.
CS?
CSX was a Canadian.
Yeah,
only
I'm
model.
like, what? It's a CSX.
Imagine a luxury Civic. So because in Japan, Civics are a lot nicer than they are stateside.
Mm-hmm.
So what for some reason Acura of Canada did, they imported the Japanese, the JDM Civic, and put the Acura badge on it. So you can get an Acura Civic that was like luxury. And it was really cool. It was really nice.
What engine was it?
It was the detuned SI motor. So same displacement, 2-liter VTEC, but only made 170 something horsepower instead of the 201. Yeah, it was enough to get it to boogie. They also had a Type S model, which was an SI, right? SI engine, but with luxury things. So I mean, back then, like I was lucky. It was a hand-me-down for me as well. I took over the lease from my cousin, and it was a great car. The only downside is it was automatic, so it had paddle shifters, which, much to my chagrin. I would do everything I could to make it feel manual. I was that guy who at the light puts it in neutral and lets the car roll back and then put it back into drive. Terrible for the torque converter, but that's what I was doing. Man, like those people sometimes grow out of Hondas, but I think a lot of people grow back into them because working at a Honda dealership, if you look at like the Pilot, Passport, Ridgeline, like the new vehicles, they're fantastic. The Accord, they're great. And granted, just like with Seiko, Honda doesn't carry clout with it. It's just a car that's well built and will work.
Yeah.
And some people, look for more. But I think if you're looking for just a well built and great vehicle, Honda's kind of your jam.
Yeah.
I think my next car is a 10th gen Accord. It's just gorgeous.
Oh,
Yeah.
so cool.
My only concern is the engine, the 2.0. Like I don't know, man. I want like more power.
Yeah.
But honestly, like you don't really need more than that.
Not in LA.
So
No.
if you guys want, if you have time, my 9th gen Accord is out there, V6 with a 6-speed.
See, like I miss those V6s, man.
Yeah. Oh, they're fantastic.
They're so
Single
nice.
overhead cam that revs like a dual overhead cam.
It's so nice.
Yeah, they're incredible. But I've driven the 2-liter. It's faster than my car.
But it's not
got more
exciting.
torque. Yeah, it doesn't make the noise in
Yeah.
the same way. But Honda's done with V6s now,
Yep.
right? That's just the unfortunate
They
reality.
should be.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The 1.5 I'd stay away from. The
Yeah.
1.5 needs some work, and in Canada especially,
It's a
there's
CVT
lot-
as well, right?
CVT, yeah.
Yeah.
But you get a 10-speed auto in the 2-liter, or you can still get the 2-liter with the 6-speed.
Yeah.
But the 1.5s in Canada, this is a little bit of information for our consumers out there. They're bad in the cold. The 1.5, it's an aluminum block, can't hold the heat in, right, in cold climates. So what happens if you're a Canadian and you have a 1.5 liter Honda, you go ahead and turn your car on and it takes like 25 minutes to warm up. So you have no heat in the winter. And as far north, like North Bay, like really north of here, there's actually been customers with their oil pans frozen solid. You know who else had to worry about oil pans freezing? The Russians in World War II.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Germans in World War II when they invaded Russia. Like that was the last time people had to worry about their oil pans freezing. Is that not ridiculous? How could Honda make that happen?
Yeah.
God damn it. Anyway.
Have you driven any of their EVs?
I've driven the Clarity.
Yeah.
And
There's like 3 flavors on that, right?
Yeah.
It's like EV, hybrid, and all electric.
They're a little bit lost. And
Really?
I had a huge like guffaw when I went into Tesla because Teslas are so much better.
Right.
To be fair, which non-EV automaker is like doing something right with EVs?
The only thing I could say is maybe Toyota had the popularity factor because they were first, but the Nissan Leaf is more advanced than any Honda. Like Honda doesn't have a specific EV.
Yeah.
The Clarity is a plug-in hybrid. The Insight is just a straight-up hybrid, and then I think
It's pretty good looking though.
Yeah, the Insight's nice.
Yeah.
Civic with Accord styling, it's
Yeah.
cool. But the Clarity, I'm not a big fan of.
No.
I think when Honda does eventually make an electric car, it will be great, right? Like look what they waited long for turbochargers, but their turbocharged engines
They
are
waited
really
so
good.
long.
Yeah.
Ridiculously long. But Nissan and Toyota did too. Toyota doesn't even have a turbocharged engine. Maybe in the new
Lexus,
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think it trickled down into one of the Toyota SUVs at this point. I know that the Lexus SUVs have they've brought out new compact ones with a turbo, but I think one of the new Toyota SUVs also comes turbocharged. They're very slow. Like they move at glacial speeds. You've seen the domestics again with a lot of influence from like foreign investment, like for Chrysler. Chrysler, who the hell knows? Do you remember like the late 2000s what Chrysler was pumping out? You probably still see them on the side of the road in California.
Don't they have like one car now in their lineup for
Ford and GM axed all small cars.
Yeah.
In North America, so you can only buy SUVs and trucks from them.
Yeah.
In California, in Los Angeles, would you say that the majority of vehicles are domestics, or do you see a lot more foreign?
Yeah.
California is definitely more foreign.
Yeah.
And smaller cars?
No,
like bigger.
I mean, like it's literally a huge range
Mhm.
because it's just such a diverse population and diverse geography. If you're like some people who live in, there's like obviously like the suburbs and then there's the tight city spaces.
Mhm.
But like you go even like Beverly Hills, which is like really tight, you'll just see G-Wagons and Range Rovers
Mhm.
and Bentegas. And
Wow.
I've seen a lot of Uri,
Oh yeah, you're right.
which are beautiful.
They are really cool.
Um,
They're very cool looking.
You know, like we see there's a lot of nice cars there.
Yeah.
I mean, same as Toronto. Like there's just it's a wealthier population, like
Yeah.
on average. So we always see nice cars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think domestically, honestly, I don't see that many.
Yeah.
I mean, you do see them, but it's nothing compared to other parts of the states.
For sure. Yeah.
Nothing compared to that.
I think that there's a bit more maybe like allegiance when it comes to domestic cars in places like Texas or Detroit, right? Especially because there may be a little bit more of a truck economy, and because of the chicken tax, which I'm not going to go through now, you cannot import a pickup truck or utility vehicle made in another country, or you pay a 25% tax on it. That's why even like Nissan pickups, Toyota pickups, they're all made here.
Yeah.
In fact, on the top end Toyota pickup truck, you think this is like a Japanese automaker, they have this big thing about the ranch in Texas that it was made on. And it's like crazy. It's like, it's kind of cool.
Pickup trucks are awesome.
Oh, they're the best, man.
They're so much fun.
Mikey has a Raptor, and
Just
recently.
Which year?
2018.
Oh man, that is awesome. Which color?
Magnetic gray.
You can never
Yeah.
just
They're
say
amazing.
the color. It's always got to be like the
Raptors,
adjective
the
of
official
color.
name.
Yeah.
Raptors are the best.
Oh, they're very cool.
See, we should have drove the Raptor down here.
Yeah, but it doesn't fit
Yeah.
down here sometimes.
Can't park anymore.
Yeah.
It's such a great car, like truck though. Like I see them all the time in Southern California. I just get
Yeah.
That what Ford has done for the pickup truck market is incredible, because my dad's been a Ford guy as long as I've been alive, and me and Mikey have had a lot of exposure to F-150s, because you've owned an F-150 since forever, in different iterations. But what people forget, because now all the brands do it, trucks used to be just shit. Like they were good at what they did, but they were
they
just
were
work
tool
trucks.
tool watches.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of what Rolex did back in the day. They were actually tool watches.
Yeah.
Now it's more bling.
Yeah.
Just like pickup trucks.
Exactly. And now, but for what it's done for pickup trucks is, it's like, if you're a family man, you can have your minivan and your pickup truck all in one, and it's super comfortable. Like your car has massage. Does it have massage seats? No, but it has ventilated seats. My dad's F-150, it has the same engine as the Raptor, but it's a little bit.
Is it the King Ranch?
It's the Limited,
Oh,
and it's new for 2019 with the Raptor engine. So it's like a grown-up Raptor without the wheels and suspension. It's not. I shouldn't say grown-up. They're both excellent trucks. It's like
I'm not offended.
okay.
Is it a supercharged V6 or turbo
Twin
turbo
turbos.
V6?
Turbo,
2.7? Or no, that's another one.
3.5.
3.5. Okay.
The 2.7 is their entry level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, they've just killed it with regards to pickup trucks, and they've changed the economy with them.
I still can't believe how many they sell. What's the statistic? Like they sell they sell a F-150 more often than guys think about sex.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, jeez.
They something like every 6 minutes, another 100 and something F-150s are sold. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was, again, this is from Top Gear. I used to watch a lot of Top Gear when I was a kid. It was like they were like my parents. But no, there was a statistic back in the day that the F-150 was the best-selling vehicle in the world, and it was only sold in North America, in Canada and the U.S. Best-selling vehicle in the world, more than the Corolla, that's sold everywhere. It's because of I think it honestly has to do with a lot of like North American excess. Like every person can have an F-150
But
here.
I don't get it. It's like one every 7 seconds or some
Yeah.
ridiculous thing like that. Like, who's buying this?
Fleets,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, especially like here,
Mhm.
fleets.
Yeah. In Canada, like in my subdivision, you'll see guys who don't even need a pickup truck have pickup trucks. It's become a culture. I think it's probably the same thing in Texas, I would assume, where like, and this is just, I've never been to Texas, but what I hear is that's the idea of like bigger.
Oh, no, it's all trucks.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the idea of like not even really needing it, but it's just what's comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the way it is, and
Bigger is better.
Yeah, and Ford found a way to make it profitable to sell as many as they could.
Yeah.
Man, it worked.
They are
So,
comfy.
Yeah.
And you know what's really nice? The new Lincoln Navigator and the Aviators.
yeah.
Those are amazing.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
Lincoln was in the tubes. Like we probably had one of our first podcasts was shitting on Lincoln because we like to do that from time to time.
Yeah.
Because like Acura right now, like we'll shit on them because they're not coming out with anything. What the hell?
It's
like
a disgrace.
yeah, and even the NSX, like you follow up a great car with that. Like it's cool to look at and it's technologically impressive, but the original Acura NSX was like an actual race car. It made Ferrari turn around and say, "Okay, we got to go back to the drawing board. This supercar starts every morning."
Is that your grail car?
My dream car, yeah.
Yeah.
The fixed head, the pop-up headlight NSX.
So the 90s, like
To early
91,
2000s.
yeah.
Somewhere around there.
It's so
That's my
cool.
dream car,
Man.
like of all time.
Yeah, the Ayrton Senna affiliation. I don't know if you guys are F1 fans but you know the affiliation with one of the most famous and great drivers of all time, and just knowing like what it did, it flipped the industry on its head, causing these Italian automakers to say like, oh, like how did they do this?
They barely had to change it for 15 years.
It was competent
because it was so good.
Yeah. And if you were smart enough to go into a dealership by like the late 90s or early 2000s and say, hey man, like this X hasn't changed, why don't you sell me one? Like you knock 25% off. No one's gonna buy this. And waited 15 years when they skyrocketed in value.
How much are they going for now? Like a good one?
So the bubble burst, so it has come a little bit back down, but there's still you're still looking at like between 70 to 80,000 for a good one, which is crazy because like we're talking now a 20-year-old car. But same thing happened to the S2000.
I mean, you can't find a clean one ever.
No.
Same as the Supra, same as...
Yeah. What do you guys think of the new Supra? If you've seen
I like how it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's... The wheelbase is a bit short.
It's
so
the
proportions
BMW
are off.
Yeah. That's... I watched a video where they actually showed just how much of it is from BMW.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Everything.
Yeah.
The infotainment is BMW.
Yeah.
If you lift the hood, it says BMW on the body panel. It says BMW on the engine. Everything is BMW. But Toyota did the same thing with the FRS, right? They sublet a lot of the work for the car out to Subaru. And if that's how they have to competently make sports cars, it's still a good car.
It's fine.
And that's what they got to do. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
I wish we saw more of that in the watch industry too. Actually, like collaborations.
Yeah, it
like
would be
Breitling.
cool,
Breitling using Tudor's in-house movement was, there are problems with the movement, but I think it's a breath of fresh air.
I didn't even know that happened.
But it was more of a financial.
Well, we don't know.
Move,
it happened right after Breitling got bought.
When was this?
2017, 2016.
okay.
I'm not sure.
2-3 years ago.
Yeah,
they got bought, and then they collabed on the new Super Oceans using Tudor's in-house movement, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. It saves them up some money to instead of working on their own movement or maybe using another edit movement.
I mean, it takes so many years to do the R&D for new movement. Might as well and both brands have pretty good cloud. I don't think they really compete with each other that much. So
no, there's definitely an aesthetic that
Breitling has like in its own cloud. Because it's so Breitling.
Yeah, it's in the same way Toyota and BMW don't really compete with each other.
Exactly.
Right? So that's why that collaboration makes sense.
100%.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of Breitling, I think of like dads.
Yeah.
That's my go-to.
It's an old dad watch.
Yeah.
It's all in the bracelet, man. The bracelet and the polishing.
Yeah.
It's just fixed to a big like meat
Yeah.
cleaver of a wrist. That's what I see it as. But they're nice watches. Like your dad recently got a Breitling Super Ocean Heritage, and that's probably my favorite looking Breitling because I think it's very timeless.
The new one,
the ceramic bezel.
Yeah.
His dad has a Breitling.
Yeah.
Your dad have a Breitling?
No.
all dads have.
Yeah.
Which color did he get?
Black.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
I thought it was blue. Maybe it was the light I saw it in. Yeah. but it's a beautiful watch.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, Navitimers can be a little bit chunky, I
Mhm.
think, or not chunky, a little bit lot going on. You really have to like have that aesthetic in mind.
Yeah. The new ones are nice.
I don't know if
It's kind of big though.
Yeah.
I think all Breitlings are a little big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't cater to smaller wrists. But for me, when I think about like, sorry to go back to this, but when I think about watches, at least for my wrist, like I don't have thick wrists. I want something that feels like it's a part of my wrist, not sitting on top of it.
Yeah.
And for me, like this watch size is just so special.
Yeah.
Between like, and if you can make like what you guys did with the Avalon to make a larger watch fit like a smaller watch is also something truly special, because it gives someone the flexibility. Like my Seamaster Professional, because it's like they've managed to make it very thin. It's not the master chronometer movement, so there's no display case back, and it sits as almost as thin as this, and that's super important to your daily wear. I tried on the newer one, and while it is aesthetically appealing, it sits like, again, a can of tuna.
It's also larger.
Yeah. But it's seriously something special when you guys can make something big seem comfortable and small.
You have the Seamaster previous to the new one, right? The generation.
You guys actually posted a photo of the blue dial version yesterday. So
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
a black dial version of that. I was gonna bring it, but then I thought then I gotta wear it at Red Bar, and
that one's underrated.
Yeah, it was
honestly.
super nice.
No one really talks about that one.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of the best looking since the priest. I mean, it is
Yeah.
like compared to like the new one. It's like I think it's a lot better.
There's this big cult thing, like cult following that people say like your first luxury watch should be a Seamaster because it's just like a great watch. But then there's the other side of the coin where they like depreciate so quickly, and for a lot of people, I bought at a boutique, so I paid a premium for that experience, and like the minute I walked out the door, it was depreciated crazy. But it's, for me, it's the Bond watch. Like I think if you're into, for me, a lot like what I like about watches is their rugged ability and the fact that like these ideas of masculinity, right, sort of revolve around tool watches in a lot of ways. Like with Paul Newman, James Bond, even Steve McQueen and his affiliation with like Rolex, and I think even with Tag, I think in one of the movies he was in. That's what I like to replicate. Gives me like a sense of confidence, and like this, draws back to that. So for me, that's what the Seamaster in black. That's what that Seamaster did. So that's why I made that pulled that trigger. And I had the Hesalite Speedy right beside it. And I was like, God damn it. Double the price. I can't really justify it. Also, the Canadian dollar sucks. So
everything's on sale here. It's amazing.
It must be nice
for us.
Where in the world did we have to go to feel like everything is on sale? I don't know. Honestly. But yeah. I think how much time have we run at this point? Hour and a half. Wow.
It's a time warp in here.
Yeah, I know. I usually my back gets sore, and that's when I know it's been like a while. I don't know if anyone else has back problems. But yeah, well, I guess maybe we'll end it there.
Do you guys have anything new coming out?
Oh yeah,
we do. So this one here, I can't show it on camera, but I can talk about it.
Cool.
It's called the Duality. Dual crown diver, internal bezel. You can take a look at that.
I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm gonna make faces if that's cool.
It uses what we're calling a hybrid dial. I don't think it's been done before, not that I've seen. It's basically a sandwich dial with applied indices. So that lets us like really fill it with lume, get it super bright.
So sandwich dial.
Yeah, so it's a sandwich dial, and then above each index we put another applied silver outline.
Oh, I see.
So it just raises it a little bit.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very cool. And how do you actuate the?
So they're both screw down. The 4 o'clock one is just like the normal crown. The 3 o'clock crown changes the time, and then the 2 o'clock crown you can unscrew it to try it out. That's what spins the internal bezel.
Man, that is so cool.
Yeah, so that's we're gonna do an official unveil October for Wind Up in New York.
In partnership with Barton as well again?
Probably not this one. The new retrospects that were, well, I guess the restock, that's going to be still with Barton.
I'll look after it.
Okay. I'm just like trying to cover it up. No, that is very cool. And maybe, okay, I won't say anything else. We'll talk off camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
and then the other one is actually on his wrist. Is the
it's just a new color for the retrospect. It's
So it's a retrospect 2.5 is what I'm calling it, but it's
I noticed the dial color before.
Yeah,
it's I guess we call it salmon sky.
yeah, it's like a salmon burst.
Because
cool.
the retrospect 2 we had a silver sky.
That's,
So
that's
this
one
is
here.
very similar, but it just has more of a pink
Yeah.
hue.
Yeah, so
so
that's a silver sky.
It sounds kind of funny,
Wow.
salmon sky, but I think that's really what you
Yeah, it's
like, when you see
representative.
the color in person, you can think of a salmon sky
Yeah.
or a
This
bunch
is-
of salmon flying in the sky. I don't know.
Yeah.
This
Well,
might-
Google salmon sky and it's exactly that color. Yeah.
This is my new favorite Bezel Action. I love how obnoxiously loud it is too, but in like the best
Yeah.
way. No, that's gorgeous. And one thing I wish my contrail had was the date at 6.
Mm.
That's one thing, just because everything else is so symmetrical on the watch.
Mhm.
I wish it had the date at 6, but obviously
Duly noted.
I was gonna make
Yeah.
a funny joke with the name of the new one, but anyway,
Yeah.
no, yeah, that would be very cool. Yeah, no, the retrospect is such a cool piece. I love how you guys have remained consistent with the holes in the lugs. I'm gonna talk closer to the mic because
Yeah.
that makes me not scratching up my case, even though it would be on the back.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it's another one of those like enthusiast things that
Yeah.
you know,
And-
no one really pays attention to it, but like again, we start as enthusiasts, so
Yeah, these are tool watches.
Yeah.
We need functionality.
yeah.
Yeah, and true watch guys understand why you'd want to change your strap.
Yeah.
And why you'd want to try different stuff out.
Yeah.
And Ming was clear with that. They were like the first ones I saw ship with
Mhm.
these push depressant, and I think Barton, all their bands are push.
Yes,
That's
yeah, they
true.
are.
That's what
Yeah.
attracted them to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To them,
It takes seconds instead of
Yep.
like putting on your glasses and going over your your
Yeah.
desk and
Yeah.
wrenching on it.
Yeah.
Which is still fun to do, but I'd rather do that when I'm cleaning the watch, not
Yep.
when I just want to go and just change a strap.
Yeah.
Up. But oh man, I gotta get my brother a retrospect, and he can give the spinnaker to my dad. It's like 8-foot wrists. No, that is gorgeous. I love the crown sizing on the retrospect too. It's a nice, it's a
Grippage,
nice
right?
size.
Yeah, easy to grip is that's a main
Oh,
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think grippage is a fake word that you made up.
It is. Yeah.
Grippage.
Yeah, but if I say it enough, it might make it into a dictionary
We'll
somewhere.
catch on.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
We know what it means, but
Yeah.
It's like when I turn it, I'm thinking,
As soon as you
Good
said it, I knew what you're
grippage.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
grippage.
But if you're not
Two
gonna
Ps.
have crown guards, I think you need something of that
Yeah.
substantial size.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm honestly kind of excited to end the podcast and just start looking at watches and not have to worry about a mic in
Yeah.
front of me. But
Yeah, we can get beers or food somewhere.
Yeah, I'm down.
Sure.
That sounds like an awesome plan.
Yeah.
Sorry you guys aren't invited, but yeah, we're gonna continue our fun times with Nodus here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Like, it
Yeah,
has
thank
been
you
an
guys for having
absolute
us.
It was a lot of fun.
honor. And my starstruckness that I had at the beginning of the show has calmed itself a bit now. Not to make things weird or anything, but like you guys are kind of like watch
We're real
celebrities to
people
us.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I'm very glad that we had this opportunity.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for coming out to Toronto, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we love you guys here. So.
Beers on us. Let's go.
Oh my God, they're so cool.
Well, it's a discount for them.
Yeah, it's on sale.
True.
So,
What the hell? Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. You guys know where to find us on Instagram and Spotify. Mikey usually does this part. I'm not very good at it. So yeah, if you found us already, you'll know where to find us in the future. And
Find them on it.
and you can Notice watches. Find them on Instagram. They have a website, and I'm telling you right now, if you're looking for a fantastic tool watch at a great value price point, and you want to buy from a great brand, am I sounding cheesy doing this right now? I don't know. Anyway, their watches are great.
What are your handles?
So the Nodus one is at Nodus Watches. My personal one is at Wes_Kwok, KWOK.
Yeah, mine's at Cullen CH. So it's just our personal handles.
Yeah.
Wes, Cullen, thank you guys so much for coming out to the show, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you.